Are we raising a generation of boys who are so addicted to video games, so addicted to online porn, that they can't handle real life?
You can have sex in a Grand Theft Auto game, but in San Andreas and only the PC version.
Oh dear, a gamer confirms a warning sounded by researchers at Stanford University that too much screen time has created an entire generation of socially awkward, detached boys who are unable to build relationships with friends and especially with young women. They're just too used to getting the instant gratification that they get with those games. And if it feels like an addiction or seems like one, there's a good reason. Doctors say exposure to certain video images can trigger the same rush of the same brain chemicals that's caused by cocaine. So here to talk about whether we are in fact losing a generation of young men, psychologist and family therapist, Dr. David Swanson. I was amazed to hear that it triggers the same chemical. What exactly does it do?
Well, studies have been done, and we look at, for example, cocaine and Ritalin, which are both stimulants. And we know Ritalin, for people who have ADHD, they take this as a defense. And video games. And there's an area of the brain called the basal ganglia, which is partly responsible for dopamine production. And when you look at the three of these things and the excitatory response in the brain, you see that video games and cocaine look alike, whereas the Ritalin, another stimulant, is the outlier.
Okay, so that's a dangerous enough addiction on its own. But then we bring into the mix pornography at such a young age.
It's really scary.
What is that doing to the brain, the developing brains of young boys?
Look, our kids are in a process of wiring their brains. We condition, we learn social skills through practice. And when you start to look at these kids who look at online porn, this sexual activity, because usually they're masturbating while they're looking at this, is really conditioning them to view sex in a very self-gratifying way. There's not a lot of connection there with the person that they're wanting to have sex with.
And really, this is more than what, you know, back in maybe the 60s or whatever, where the dad would say, don't worry about it, he's just looking at the Playboy.
No.
This is different, and this goes to the objectification of those young girls,
Completely,
doesn't it?
completely. And you know, a lot of these boys are not wanting to admit to the girls they meet that they are online looking at pornography, and so oftentimes it promotes shame and lower self-esteem in these boys. It wires them to see sex as self-gratifying. It tends to have them, you know, think that girls want sex in a certain particular way, the way they see it in pornography. It's really not a good thing all around. And as parents, we really got to do a good job of making sure they don't get that access.
I don't know. In fact, Chris, maybe you can tell me, did we already put down on the lower part of the screen the tips that Dr. Swanson's been talking about? Okay, I thought we did, Greg. Thank you very much. So, what do parents do, and how severely do they treat this? How much are our boys really in danger?
Well, I think this is a really big concern, both with video games and with pornography. Any screen time. You know, we used to think that this is such a big deal in terms of obesity. But here's the deal. Social skills are number one for success. Okay, it's not grades, it's social skills. The better you are socially, the higher you're going to climb that ladder. So kids do need to get out, they do need to socialize. When it comes to protecting against these other things, put limits and boundaries around the video games. Let them play for maybe an hour a day. They shouldn't be playing for more than that. When we get lazy and let them get babysat by the video games, that's not a good thing. Computers and things like that, keep them in a common area. Laptops are your enemy.
Do parents,
they're easy.
Does an 11 or 12-year-old get his own password without telling his parents what it is?
And you make that's a great point, Jeff. You make that idea or that deal up front. In other words, I'm willing to go ahead and get you this computer, but I need the passwords. I'm willing to let you have that Facebook account. I need the passwords. You know, you should also do the money test. Talking about passwords, you go online and you look at the money test in terms of Craigslist.
What's that mean?
Okay, so if I want to buy a video game for an Xbox system, which I'm sure most parents know what the Xbox is by now, that game might range in price anywhere from $15 to $60 for that disc. If you go on Craigslist and you look up accounts like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, Diablo, these are MMORPGs. That's the format, and a lot of parents know what these are. You'll see accounts on there selling anywhere from $150 to $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
What does that say about addiction?
Yeah, exactly.
Look where the money is.
It says that somebody's got the money to pay for it because they need it that badly.
Yeah.
Dr. David Swanson, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Come on, parents, be vigilant.